number are we on? What number are we on?
7.
Thank you. Speaker 7. 1 second till the clock resets. There you go.
Ingrid Villeda, good evening now. I've been here since the morning, and board members, I'm here to ask you again to please consider the resolution before you. Board Member Zimmer, as a teacher and as a parent and as a community person, I work at the elementary school where I went. I came to this country as a 9-year-old kid without a word of English. So I am a product of LAUSD. I work with the community, and I've heard 2 things today. I've heard, one, that I'm not the community because I'm a teacher and I'm a UTLA member, and I want to say that that's not who I am. Not only do I have a right to be in the classroom because you fine people gave me an education and I made it, thank God my mom brought me over, but I work with all the parents that I service. I work with the students that I service. I'm accountable to the students that I service. And as a union member, I have the right to demand respect and dignity. My 11-year-old asked me, why do you do all this UTLA stuff? And why are you meeting with all these parents? And why do you care what happens to them? I care because I see myself in all these kids, and I see my mom in all these mothers. What's happening out there is not reform. What's happening out there is not empowerment. Parent revolution has to be named because they've done so many things that are not okay. Telling our parents that immigration status can be damaged is not okay. Telling our parents that they can call back when they call to withdraw their signature is not okay. Our parents have the right to be protected. And if we don't do that for them, who will? Who will? I urge you to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, David Tarkovsky, supporting Mr. Zimmer's motion. Above all, there needs to be some legislative fix, and hopefully the leadership here will pass this motion and take some of these folks up so that in Sacramento they can hear the same voices and the legislation can be done with a full, robust discussion. Above all, Mr. Zimmer's section in there that calls for a district memo to be produced is very important. We have memos on the distribution of this and that. We have memos of all sorts in this district, but not to have a memo on such a volatile thing so that the area directors, the principals, the teachers, the parents, know the rules of the game under the law and under the State Department of Ed. If it's delayed any longer, this memo, you can hear the tensions are getting high enough that there's going to be an injury of one sort or another. And the sooner that memo gets done and vetted by the lawyers and all of that, the far better for all the principals, for all the area administrators, for in fact, talking to Mr. Austin and Parent Revolution, they want rules of the game too. You can go to the store and buy a box game for your kids. The first thing you do is open up the box game, and there's the rules of the game. There are no rules of the game being published by the administration here, and it needs to be done in concert with the law, in concert with the administrative regulations that the State Department of Ed and the State Board have given. But then you have to make a policy decision, which is, I think, inherent on already by the experience of 24th Street and the others, to make some legislative change. If that legislative change is pushed by this district and the other districts that have had the experience, as well as the court decisions, the 4 court decisions, it would be very helpful to get better policy. And so, Mr. Zimmer, thank you for bringing this out into the open, and those board members who support it. I particularly see too much tensions arising around these, whether it's in Adelanto, in Compton, or in the cases here. It's far better to get rules of the game. That way, at least we know where things should be and who's departing from the rules. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Warren Fletcher. I'm the president of United Teachers Los Angeles. And on behalf of the 35,000 educator members of United Teachers Los Angeles, we first want to say we applaud Mr. Zimmer. We applaud his motion. We applaud an attempt to finally, thank you. We applaud his attempt to bring some rationality and fairness and logic to a very bad situation. The legislature and the governor, about 3 years ago, by a single vote in the legislature, adopted a law that is a very, very bad law. It is a law that almost guarantees, no, I shouldn't say almost, that guarantees bad outcomes. Because this law is built on the premise that the only way that a school can be improved is if one group of stakeholders starts blaming another group of stakeholders. It is a law that is based on the idea that we improve schools by scapegoating. And it is a law that is based on the belief that the only kind of progress that can ever exist in a school community is when we divide the school into us and them. As a 29-year teacher in this district, I can tell you that the parents who want to see improvement in their schools are being presented with a cruel hoax by this law. It is a mechanism to turn hope into hate, and that law is a legal framework to set people against each other. I, as the president of UTLA, am proud to say that we reach out to parents and we set up meetings with parents. As soon as the parent trigger law gets mentioned, suddenly UTLA can't even get a civic center permit. Suddenly UTLA runs into legal obstacle after legal obstacle. What we are doing is we are playing adult conflict games, and we are fiddling while Rome burns. It is important that this school board and the senior administration and the superintendent of this district obey the law. But it is also important that a framework is developed, like in Mr. Zimmer's motion, so that the law does not sow hatred and does not debilitate school communities. To this point, the senior leadership of this district has been, I think, unready to take on that fact. Take on the fact that we must, in Los Angeles, be about bringing groups together, bringing parents and teachers and students and the community and everyone together. And end this sowing of hate. You notice I didn't mention Parent Revolution. And I'm not going to mention them other than to say that this law guarantees conflict. This law breaks apart schools, and it doesn't matter whether you have good intentions or bad intentions. A system based on hatred hurts children. We need to end it, and thank you, Mr. Zimmer.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Okay, that concludes the
Madam
public
Chair.
comment. Yes, Mr. Zimmer.
The intent of